Are narcissists all the same? I have had so many people watch my videos, read my articles, or any other content that I have provided and say things like, I cannot believe how accurate this is for my situation, or have you been spying on me? Did you date my ex? This is my life. I've even heard people say that we must have the same parents or ex because my situation sounded identical to theirs. I have been researching and writing as well as making videos in my podcast about narcissism and narcissistic abuse recovery pretty extensively for over 5 years now. And one thing that has always stood out to me is that the traits of the narcissist seem to be the same all the way across the board, regardless of their life circumstances, relationship status, culture, race, religion, financial status. It's almost as if the narcissists have a playbook. How is it possible that they are all so similar? Well, that's exactly what we are going to talk about today. So, do narcissists really have a playbook that they use to manipulate you? No, not technically, but it does almost seem like they do. A client of mine recently referred to this as a narcissist program. And I've also found myself jokingly referring to narcissists as NPCs or non-player characters, a video game term that I've learned from Reddit. And means that a programmed character that doesn't have a human behind their eyes. But why is that? How could they all be so similar? Is there something specifically neurological going on? Is it a result of some sort of trauma, or is there something else going on? Let's talk about this. So, how are narcissists different than the rest of us? And we all know that narcissists lack empathy, and especially those who would be classified as having NPD or narcissistic personality disorder. If they'd ever give anyone the chance to diagnose them officially, and as a side note, they won't because they don't feel that there's anything wrong with them, and they never will. Research does actually say that people with NPD have different brains than neurotypical people. So let's start with the fact that published scientific research tells us that people with narcissistic personality disorder may have less gray matter in the left anterior insula, or the part of the brain linked to empathy. As a side note, you don't have to take my word for it. I will link the study and others that I'm mentioning in the description below this video. And by the way, if you are enjoying my videos, don't forget to press subscribe, hit the like button, and that bell icon so you can get notifications when I upload future videos and podcasts. So, back to the playbook. The layman's version of the scientific explanation is that those parts of the brain that mediate empathy or the ability to care about other people's feelings are lower functioning and less capable of focusing on others. In other words, a narcissist has less gray matter in their brain than someone who is capable of empathy. Even worse, some researchers have said that the differences in the narcissist brain are actually literally causing them to turn inward and self-focus. Study authors defined certain traits as being shared amongst all narcissists, despite various other definitions and forms of the personality disorder. And in a German study, researchers found that the degree to which a person was able to exhibit empathy was directly tied to the amount of gray matter in the brain, both in the healthy individuals as well as in those with narcissistic personality disorder. Many of you understand, but must know that narcissistic abuse is very subtle in many cases. Narcissists are by nature very subtle in the way they control and manipulate their victims. In fact, so often, even the very people they're manipulating and controlling are not aware of it. In fact, that's the very nature of their favorite manipulation tactic, gaslighting. So many people are in these situations, and because they are being so heavily manipulated, They really believed that they are the ones with the issues, when in reality, they've been horribly gaslighted by one of these crazy, toxic people. It is crazy making, to say the least. And while there are various types of narcissists and they exist at various levels of toxicity, there are 4 basic traits that every narcissist has in common. In a narcissism-focused study, the researchers were able to define the following traits as being shared amongst all narcissists despite other definitions and forms of personality disorder. It didn't matter if they were a covert or an overt or one of the many other types that we have currently defined. And those 4 qualities shared by all narcissists are selfishness, disregard for other people, being self-centered, and a lack of empathy. But there are relatively few people who are actually diagnosed with NPD. And why is that? Typically, NPD goes undiagnosed because most narcissists see absolutely nothing wrong with their behavior. But just for the sake of discussion, let's quickly review the symptoms of NPD. Symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder, according to the DSM-5, are having an exaggerated sense of self-importance, expecting to be recognized as superior even without achievements that warrant it, exaggerating their achievements and talents, being preoccupied with fantasies of success and power, brilliance and beauty, or the perfect mate, believing that they are superior and can only be understood by or associate with equally special people. They require constant admiration. They have a huge sense of entitlement. They expect special favors and unquestioning compliance with expectations. They take advantage of others to get what they want. They have an inability or an unwillingness to recognize the needs and the feelings of others. They are envious of others, believing others are envious of them. They behave in an arrogant or haughty manner. And as you can guess from the official list of symptoms, diagnosis of NPD would typically be made by a qualified psychologist or psychiatrist when 5 or more of these characteristics are identified. But generally, the condition goes undiagnosed because narcissists, again, see nothing wrong with their behavior. The one that I can really understand or I have seen in so many people in my life is are envious of others but believes others are envious of them. And I have a family full of narcissists. Pretty much everybody I've ever known since I was a small child. I woke up one day and I realized that I was completely surrounded by narcissists, and there was not one healthy neurotypical person that had ever graced my life. And the narcissists that are in my family would often use the they're just jealous line whenever they were in squabbles with friends or in squabbles with myself or other family members. They're so arrogant, and they try to disguise this arrogance with ethics. I don't know if any of you have ever noticed that, but if you have, put it in the comments below. They do display an exaggerated sense of self-importance, and they are typically extremely judgmental. So how do you deal with these people if you have one in your life or in your family, if you're dating one? It's best to distance yourself from a person who has NPD, as this is especially true because they do not realize anything is wrong, nor will they ever. There is no known cure for NPD, though if a person affected seeks therapy, change is really not possible. It is unusual for a person with NPD to seek therapy because they don't see a problem with their behavior. They like the way that they are. And there is so much more to discuss here, but I would like to open up the discussion now with the question of the day. The question of the day is, have you noticed that someone in your life seems to have all of the traits or qualities of a narcissist? Have you wondered if there really is a playbook, a narcissist playbook? Share your thoughts.